Ciao to you all. It's your boy M.K.S here back here. Finally, it's taken a while to get around to. I'm just going to check I'm live on Facebook as well at the same time. As for those who have watched my videos before, you'll know I record both on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. Looks like I'm live on Facebook and YouTube, so all being well, both will record as well as possible. I hope, touch wood, as they say. I know that. What was I saying? Sorry, I was dead already. I don't do well. Yeah, I record both on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. So, all being well, both will record as well as possible. And there's something else I was going to say, but I completely forgot. But anyway, I didn't get around to finishing off part 3 of this as I planned last night. So I'm hoping to do so now, and then move on to talk about my plans for Africa and Asia to network together somehow through Egypt without giving too much away. But yeah, as Italy's playing in about 3.5 hours or so time, I thought I'd cover this. So as usual, I've been procrastinating. It took me ages to get my butt resting out of bed as usual. Unfortunately, I was hoping to get about 8 o'clock, but I didn't get up to about 11 o'clock. So rather frustrating, but because then a lot of the day goes already. But anyway, this is part 3, the third and penultimate part, and hopefully the month can end on a positive, because it's been a bit of a rough month for me with my mental health problems and stuff like that. I don't know if I've mentioned that. I'll probably mention it in a few videos, but every now and then I go through these mental health problems, and I guess my paranoia is like thinking God's not on my side and that kind of thing. I guess if I'm honest, but I'm probably not going to go into that too much right now. Might talk about it some other time, but hopefully God will prove me wrong and show that they are on my side. But not through football necessarily, but through other things. I don't know how, but by blessing my plans and my writings and things like that. I realise I've gone way too long into the intro. So these are pointers number 21 to 30 as per usual for part 3. As I mentioned past, maybe sometimes I'll do it differently. But anyway, here goes. So number 21, as I say, 21 again, recapping for this game. I guess the initial thing when I was making these videos was to sort of do like a sort of match preview, trying to make sure I don't get those words mixed up, preview and review, but kind of to do a match preview, but mainly to talk about how I hope Italy will play against Bosnia, and into the future perhaps as well, but especially for this game. Like in the future, I'd love us to have more younger players and develop more good young players. But for this particular game, obviously, it's a one-off, and I hope the players will step up. So starting from the goalkeeper, I hope that he won't make too many silly mistakes. I think he's made quite a few silly mistakes. I hope he'll cut that out and just be focused on getting his confidence right and not doing anything silly, not taking too many risks. I don't like a goalkeeper to take too many risks. I think he should just do very simple stuff. If he has to, clear the ball away. If he has to go long, sometimes go long. If he can go short sometimes when we're in a confident mood. If we are in a confident mood, I think he should do that. And that kind of thing. But I don't think he should take too many risks as a goalkeeper. I think the midfielders and the strikers can, but I think the goalkeeper really needs to just sometimes hoof the ball, as they say. Sometimes just whack the ball forward, as we say here in England, just hoof the ball or whatever. I don't know if they use that term overseas, but as I say, I can only speak English, and even that not very well, but a lot of time. But yeah, I hope, basically to put it simply, I hope he doesn't make too many mistakes, so he doesn't give away the ball. As the last line of defence, I hope he doesn't do anything like try and do too much with his feet and that kind of thing. Just try and be there to block any shots, obviously, and try and give confidence, inspire confidence in the team. Be prepared for penalties if necessary, especially at the end of the game or even in the game. Hopefully that won't happen, but if it does, hopefully be ready for it. Be ready for any eventuality, but just try to not give away the ball and do silly things that are going to put us under pressure. And hopefully be Mr. Dependable, which is what you need from a goalkeeper. Again, having the confidence, but also inspiring confidence in others. And he's a very tall goalkeeper, which I suppose getting down for shots can be a bit difficult for a good goalkeeper, but if they're tall. But the advantage, obviously, is that he does have that frame. He does have that reach and all that kind of thing, especially for corners. So hopefully he'll be confident and be able to catch any corner and preferably hold the ball. rather than punch it and that kind of thing. But again, most importantly, hopefully not making too many mistakes, just trying to be a good, safe pair of hands. Again, boot the ball out if necessary. Try not to give away penalties or anything like that, or a penalty, or try not to give away free kicks or do anything silly. Not come out of the box too often unless absolutely necessary. But being the last line of defence, just really being Mr. Dependable. And again, sometimes in the ball going long or whatever, sometimes going short if we're confident. If we're not in a confident mid, I think sometimes just hoofing the ball if necessary, especially if we're 1-0 down with like a minute to go before the second half or whatever, or towards the end of the half. I think if you can, if the ball goes to the goalkeeper, I think you should whack it long. And I think that the main thing, I suppose, thinking about is I suppose they say the first line of defence is the attack in many ways. So keeping the ball in the opposition's half will mean hopefully we won't need the goalkeeper too much. Preferably, I think the goalkeeper is good to have as a backup plan, like an insurance plan that you don't really want to need. Obviously, you don't want your house to catch fire or your car to have damage or your house to have damage generally. So being there is like an insurance plan, a backup plan. So hopefully he'll only be there as absolutely he'll only be called upon if absolutely necessary. So hopefully we won't invite too much pressure onto ourselves. Hopefully we'll play in the opposition's half, keep hold of the ball. Hopefully be more clinical as well going forward, and hopefully people cover the goalkeeper so it won't be needed much. But again, when he is dependent upon, hopefully just doing the simple stuff, not trying to do skills or trying to play the ball out without looking. Like really make sure those passes are accurate from the back. I wish I'd done that more yesterday, but so yeah, that's from the goalkeeper, and then obviously the rest of the team hopefully protecting the goalkeeper, and hopefully again playing the opposition's half, trying to get the ball forward, trying to get plenty of crosses in, test their goalkeeper and their defence, see if they've got any weaknesses that we can exploit. Well, that's a weak right back, weak left back, and that kind of thing. Like they say, the danger man is Edin Dzeko, but if we stop the ball from even getting to Dzeko, then it means that it's unlikely that obviously if you can't get to the ball, you can't really do much with it. And if he has to keep going deep to defend, I think that'd be a really good thing because it'll make him very frustrated. And I think if we can make it so that Dzeko and players like that are, I'm sure they've got a few other good players as well. I've heard a few of their players play in the Premier League, Serie A and whatnot, so they might know some of the Italian players, but it could be second around. But yeah, so hopefully good from the goalkeeper, defenders, midfielders, strikers, obviously. Hopefully they'll step up to the plate and play the game of their life. I'm thinking of this game generally, but I know I talked about 21 again. Before I move on to point number 22, I want to say, like, I know I went through that point in quite a lot of details, but I want to say about like the diaspora, everyone connected with Italian football. Hopefully people from the diaspora, including celebrities like Madonna, Lady Gaga, and people like that in the future. I'd love for them. Probably a bit too late for this game, but hopefully it will get to World Cup, and it'd be great to have people like that cheering on the team and like getting behind the team. So I'd love for people from the diaspora, however you pronounce it, and all those connected with Italy to get behind the team, to connect with their roots through football, preferably. I suppose my quirky little idea and plan. And I'd love to see Italy get back to its glory days, and a campaign to get Italy back to its glory days, have funding for Italy to have more pitches and playing football in schools and that kind of thing. But again, for this game, it's a bit too late for that. But for the future, building for the future. But yeah, those from the diaspora, those from Italy itself, obviously, and Anglo-Indians and other Eurasians, maybe even neurodivergent people and mentally ill people, as I talked about before, get behind the team, people with things in common with me basically as well. Although I don't have any Italian ancestry, I only support it because I think I look Italian and I've supported them since I was young, so like for nostalgic purposes. But moving on to point number 22, yeah, looking into the future, I'd love to see more football played in schools and parks, schools, even maybe homes, more leisure centres, youth clubs, and things like where people go and play football quite a lot. A campaign I thought of with like Italy working with FIFA and UEFA through football to talk about peace through football. I know I talked about that before. Good as that in point number 21, but I wanted to get crack on. Yeah, that's for the future, but obviously for today's game, I think it's important that the players all step up and, like, if they make mistakes, just try and cover for each other, cover anyone's mistakes, try and play a bit closer to each other, and try to, not too close to each other obviously, but enough for them to be able to make passes and not have to not be able to have those opportunities to make passes, but also, as I say, to go forward, but sometimes go back if necessary. But the passes, I want to see the passes being as accurate as possible, like old German teams used to do. I remember Euro '96, like people said, like the German players were like robots, they're passing and all that kind of. Spain does it really well, and that kind of thing. I'd love to see Italy do that, tiki-taka football, or whatever, as I talked about before. But yeah, going into the future, I guess more could be done to advance the team. If Italy, heaven forbid, fails to make it to the World Cup, I think I talked about before. A lot of changes need to happen for the future. Obviously, it would be great to be there, to be out the third time in a row. I think wholesale changes would have to be made for the future. I think all the old guard, all the people involved in football can't remain. All the people involved in Italian football, I think must be got rid of if they don't make it to the World Cup. But yeah, for the future, like building for the future. But as I hope the goalkeeper will make as few mistakes as possible, of course, and not do too. Again, there's a few things he was doing, like with footwork, trying to be fancy with, trying to take on risks and be too fancy with his feet and that kind of thing. I think he should just sometimes hoof the ball, sometimes go long, basically, and that kind of thing, and sometimes short. But again, if he goes short, I think he needs to be really careful. I hope the defence will cover him and will only like have a goalkeeper necessarily as a last resort, as say, just like an insurance policy. As say, just like with your house or car, you don't want it to catch fire or have any problems. But if heaven forbid it does, you've got an insurance policy, and I think that's what goalkeeper should be there for. If we keep the ball quite a lot, hopefully we'll keep Bosnia quiet. Also put pressure on them because they're playing at home. Number 23, as I say, I think a lot about the future and how I'd love to fund Italian football, fundraise for Italian football, help Italians to have as many opportunities to play football as possible. I'd love to have what I call billionaires networks, like networks of people who are millionaires or billionaires to invest and make it more money, but also to invest in Italian football and Celtic, and to make Italian football and Celtic be more investable. Yeah, billionaires networks to invest, as I say, and to donate to, even in some cases, maybe Italian football. So I love to fundraise for Italian football, but for this game particularly, again, trying to have the balance between thinking about this game, but also talking about the future as Italy's playing. Yeah, I hope the players don't have any regrets and play as well as possible, obviously, and work for each other. They make a mistake, don't drop their heads, like work to get back, and just really put everything on the line to try and get through to this World Cup the third time, lucky, as I say. Number 24, I hope the whole nation will get behind the team. And again, it's probably a bit late for this, but it'd be great. It would have been great, I guess, and maybe in future tournaments and whenever Italy play, and in the future, especially on the 17th, Italy's Unification Day, 2 or 3 weeks ago, as it happens. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Anyway, 2 weeks ago exactly. Anyway, I'd love for Italians to write messages to say to the players, like, we're rooting for you. We'll get, the whole country's behind you, the whole nation's behind you, and that kind of thing. Yeah, just to keep battling. Like, if things do go wrong, having a plan B. I've got to say about the creativity as well. In point number 21 or point number 22, I suppose I should have said about, again, players coming short, maybe trying tiki-taka football, maybe looking at what other nations do, what they've done well, what winning teams have in common, how to keep going for the full match. If, like, say, Bosnia scores and the crowd are cheering them on and get behind them, how does Italy start again and like rebuild and just believe that we can do it under pressure? And I think, like, towards the end of each half, obviously there's 2 halves, but towards the end of each half, or if there's extra time even, there'll be 4 halves obviously. But yeah, before the end of each half, the last 5 minutes, really to push everything in to try and score a goal. So, for instance, at the end of the first half, to make sure try and get that goal, play the opposition's half as much as possible. But sometimes, if Bosnia are playing well, for instance, being able to drop deep and defend if necessary. I think it would be good to have at least 2 on in their half. So even if they try and, I suppose that would be a bit of a risk, but if they come forward, it means we can break on them. We can break on them and have opportunities. Part of me wants to see, like, even 4, but that might be a bit too much. But like the 2 wingers playing like strikers, I'm giving away a lot of part of my strategy. But playing as attacking as possible, and trying not to drop too deep. But the defenders obviously doing their job and showing what they're worth. So the players who haven't been having good games, like Bastoni, Retegay, and 1 or 2 others, like to get back on form, and hopefully, obviously, players like Moise Keane, Moise Keane or whatever, Moise Keane or whatever, however you pronounce his name, I say, and Tonali. Hopefully, they'll continue to play well, but the other players who haven't been playing well, hopefully, will pick it up. I mean, even the goalkeeper, I think, when we were 1-0 up against Northern Ireland, I'm sure we were only 1-0 up, and he sort of almost passed them the ball. The defender wasn't ready. So again, communication, I suppose, is another thing, like communicating between each other, making sure they're ready to receive the pass before they pass to them, and that kind of thing. More pass accuracy and that kind of thing, and the confidence, and just really just believing and going for this, like it's a final, which it is, I guess, to get to the World Cup. It's a mini final in itself. So now, if Italy does get to the final, well, if Italy gets to the World Cup, I guess we have potentially, like, well, technically we do have potentially, I'm not going to count my chickens, but we potentially have about 4 or 5 finals, because this is a final in itself, and then if and when we do get to the World Cup, we will then have, I don't know if I believe in superstition, but last time against Russia we were playing in the snow. Apparently it's snowing in Bosnia. Again, could get called off. You never know, but that could give us more time to prepare. But last time when the game was in Russia in the snow, it was a difficult game, but Italy got through. But I don't know if I believe in those superstitions. It does depend on whether the players play and turn up. But again, the former players and people across the nation, even the government, politicians generally, councillors and whatnot, even rivals, like rival politicians and whatnot, and even rival clubs could get behind the national team each time we play. Again, that's something more for the future perhaps, but the nation getting behind the team. But anyway, moving on to point number 25, if it goes to, again, being prepared for extra time or even penalties, going behind if necessary. Well, I mean, not if necessary, but if we do go behind, being prepared and being ready to go again. And yeah, thinking about how Italy's Unification Day was in March. I think I did mention in part 2, but thinking about like the anthem, national anthem of Italy, and also Italy's Unification Day, and how they're both about Italy being united, which I thought was saying in point number 24. But yeah, being prepared, as I say, for extra time, penalties, and to record any possible eventualities, being organised like the German teams in the past, getting our passing better. But also, like I say, some players like midfielders, at least one centre mid, I think, should be dropping deep to cover the defence, to protect the defence when necessary, when we have the ball, but also when we have the ball, to build up from the back. Sometimes go long, and sometimes go short. Obviously, if you're unpredictable, the opposition doesn't know what you're going to do. Ideally, I think the players should have a plan before the game. Say, like I talked about before, like if they tap the right shoulder, it means they're going to go long. If they tap the left shoulder, it means they're going to go short, or whatever it might be. Hopefully, Bosnia obviously wouldn't know what the players are going to do, but needing that, I think it'd be good to see that creativity and the players to show that they have that creativity, but also the simple things. I say sometimes the simple passing, not always trying to do skillful things. Again, especially from the goalkeeper and even the defence, I don't think they should do too many sort of skills. When we go forward, we could try different skills. If it doesn't work, at least we can cover defence. But if we keep, I'd love to see a player like running at their defence and keep running at their defence. Like we had M.K.S before, and I think Spinazzola used to run at their defence. So used to in 2021. So having a player like that, like England has, Cole, Palmer, having someone like that who can run at the opposition's defence, I think that'd be really good. Making their defenders have to think about it and think about things, and trying different skills, and see if one doesn't work, trying a different one, and that kind of thing. Number 26, as I say, for our own hearts as family town football, it would be good to be able to win the game. I'm sure Bosnia will say the same thing, obviously the other way around, but it'd be good to not have to go to extra time and penalties. But having to struggle sometimes makes it even more worthwhile and feel even better. But I hope Italy can go out there and like win 3 or 4-0 or thrash them 4 or 5 or 6-0. Obviously, I hope the opposite doesn't happen. Sometimes it's even more gutting when you get to penalties because you've gone all that far and not managed to win it. But I hope they prepare for all eventualities. If, as I say, heaven forbid, Italy doesn't qualify, then hopefully a rebuild will make all the people involved in town football pretty much. I don't know if I'd give the manager till the next Euros or something like that, but maybe move on to a new manager. Although he came in quite short notice and hasn't had a huge amount of time. That probably partly depending on how we play, but certainly the people like the board and the people involved in the organisation of Italian football, I think should be got rid of if heaven forbid again we don't qualify. But obviously, I'm hoping that happen. I'd love to see more former players get involved in like the youth setup, the coaching, and the structure of Italian football generally, and to continue to improve. Number 27. I mentioned recently about like when I talked about the Wales game. No, sorry, the Northern Ireland game, big one. I said I think the players could be given bonuses if it came to World Cup or entry or game to the next round. Although part of me thinks they shouldn't really need that. I think they should always be up for the game. So I hope, as I say, I hope Donnarumma, Retegay, if he comes on the bench, I think he's on the bench. But if he comes off the bench, rather, and hopefully all the players really will show what they're made of. Obviously, if a player like Tonali, who played I think really well in the first game, from what I saw of it, I missed quite a lot of it. But if someone like that doesn't play well, then he's wasted all that play that he had. So hopefully every player will step up and put in 100% and say, "I'll show what I'm worth and what I'm made of." So players like Bastoni, who perhaps haven't played as well, can say, "Yeah, I can show that I can defend and I can play well." And again, all the players hopefully will perform their role as well as possible. Defenders doing their job, stopping the opposition, having opportunities, trying to block crosses, trying to make it as difficult for them as possible, covering the goalkeeper and that kind of thing. The goalkeeper keeping it simple, again, knocking the ball long, hooving it if necessary, that kind of thing. Not trying to do anything too fancy, not making too many silly mistakes, too many risks at the back, trying to cut all that crap out. And I think the rest of the players trying to, again, keep the ball, pass and move the ball. Maybe the wingers, I think, running at their defence as much as possible, trying to get crosses in, trying to do skills, cutting inside, making it unpredictable so the opposition doesn't know. Hopefully having that creativity to unlock defences. Something I thought about on that, but I'm going to cover it in point number 29. Number 28, hopefully it can be a turning point for Italian football, turning negatives into positives. I don't think of for point number 28. And point number 29, I think of like thinking about creativity. What I was going to say is, after mentioning like neurodivergent people or even people with mental health problems, perhaps having a purpose through football and benefiting Italian football. As many mentally ill and neurodivergent people in Italy and around the world, including especially those of the Italian diaspora and those in Italy itself, but also around the world, if I can convince them and get as many as possible. Hopefully they can have a purpose in benefiting Italian football. I mean, I imagine someone from England or Germany or Spain might not want to do that, but if I can convince as many as possible, life is a numbers game, so I might not win them all, but if I can win as many as possible. I was thinking football is quite a cruel sport because only one team can win in the end. Although you can go through some blips, like Italy could still technically win the World Cup. I think I believe in it and not be complacent, but believe and be positive without being arrogant and just play each game like it's a final. Except for like the only game I think of is like having, if and when we do get to World Cup, I think taking some younger players, and if we win the first game convincingly, then we could rest players and saying, or if we win the first two games, if and when we do get in there, again, I don't want to count my chickens, but if and when we do win the first couple of games in the group, we should be through to the next round as far as I'm aware, the format's still the same, then we can start playing younger players for the third game, resting players for the future, and giving resting players for the rest of the tournament, but also giving opportunities for younger players to have practice and that kind of thing, which I'd love to do for friendlies, Euros, the Olympics, and that kind of thing, even Euros, as I say. Many teams might not like to do that. They might like to play their best players in Euros, but because I prioritise the World Cup, I think all the other events, all the other tournaments don't really count that much. So I don't really care if Italy wins the Euros. I really want to go for the big one, World Cup. If we win the Euros, it's a bonus, especially with younger players. But I'd rather see younger players being developed for the World Cups and that kind of thing. So I think Italy needs to, again, thinking about the future, develop for the future. Maybe, again, people with dyslexia and other neurodivergent conditions can be given pathway through football. And a lot of my quirky ideas, and showing the creativity we have sometimes, or many dyslexics have, to unlock. So like in football, I think if you don't have creativity, it's like how do you unlock defences and that kind of thing? How do you turn the key in that door or whatever? But yeah, quirky, creative dyslexics and people with ADHD with lots of energy and whatnot. So if they don't do well at school, football could be a pathway for, and as a fan of Italian football and Celtic, I'd rather see Italian football and Celtic benefit from that. Hence why I include that for Italian football. If I was an England fan or another team's fan, I would say that same for them. Yeah, and number 30, I would say I support Italian football with a bias. Don't know why I say bias like that, sorry. But yeah, and I'm out, and peace and love.